The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council shimmered like a jewel suspended in orbit above a silver world. Light from 3 suns poured through the glass dome, glinting off marble floors and golden banners. It was a place built to impress, proof that the council ruled not just through wisdom but through pride. Thousands of alien delegates filled the rising rows of seats, scaled, furred, feathered, and metal-skinned. Voices blended into a low, endless hum. Politics, pride, power. At the center platform stood High Elder Vox, his blue skin pale with age, for eyes slow to blink but sharp as ever. When he raised his hand, the voices died. Even now they still respected him, though most thought his mind had grown too old, too cautious. "I come before you with a warning," Vox began. His voice carried easily, calm but heavy. "A new species has begun to reach for the stars. They call themselves humans." A ripple of laughter moved through the chamber. Some delegates chuckled, others hissed or whispered. From the front row, Grand Counselor Mira stood, tall, elegant, her silver skin glowing beneath the lights. Her voice was smooth and cold. "High Elder, we respect your long service, but surely this is not worth the Council's time. These humans have barely left their own moon. Their ships are slow, their weapons primitive. Why should we concern ourselves with them?" Vox waited for the laughter to fade. Then he touched a control on his wrist. Above the platform, a vast holographic image flickered to life. A blue-green planet, the third from its sun. "Observe," he said quietly. Images shifted. Horse-drawn wagons crossing fields. Wooden ships on dark oceans. Then, explosions of light, machines of metal, aircraft cutting through clouds. 100 of their years ago, Vox continued, they traveled by horse and sail. 50 years ago they split the atom. 20 years ago they created networks that bind their world together. And today, they build stations on their moon, preparing to step beyond their system. Counselor Drav, a thick-armed reptilian being, snorted. "Many species advance quickly. What makes these humans special? It is not only their speed," Vox said. "It is their nature. They adapt faster than any species we have known. They turn failure into strength, pain into progress." He changed the display again, images of human wars, fires, cities in ruins, then rebuilt stronger. Astronauts reaching space. Doctors saving lives. Soldiers standing firm. Most importantly, Vox said, they never give up. When they cannot go around an obstacle, they go through it. When they fall, they rise stronger. The chamber filled with murmurs. Then Mira laughed, a sound like crystal breaking. "So they fight, they fall, they rise. It makes them sound like children playing at war. Look at them, still divided, still fighting themselves. Hardly a threat." Vox's eyes narrowed. "I did not say they threaten us today. But if we are wise, we will take care. The last species with such adaptability was the Crevan Empire. And you all remember what happened to them." The laughter stopped. A chill moved through the hall. No one liked to speak of the Crevans, the race that had risen fast and burned even faster when they challenged the Council centuries ago. "That was different," Mira said quickly. "The Crevans were born for war. From what we see, humans value peace. Humans value survival," Vox corrected softly. "They will be peaceful if peace keeps them alive. They will be warriors if war is what survival demands. That is what makes them dangerous. They are whatever they must become." For a moment, the council was silent. Many shifted in their seats, uneasy but unwilling to admit fear. They had ruled the galaxy too long to imagine real competition. "I ask only," Vox said at last, "that we make contact soon, while they still see us as greater than they are. We must guide them, set boundaries before they learn there are no rules." Mira inclined her head in false respect. "We will consider your words, High Elder." Her tone said otherwise. Vox bowed. "Then I have done my duty." As he left the platform, his young assistant, Tall, hurried beside him. "They will not listen," Tall whispered. "They never do," Vox replied. His eyes turned distant, heavy with sadness. "But they will remember. When the stars themselves shake, they will remember this warning." Scene shift, the edge of known space. Far beyond the Council's shining worlds, in the quiet dark between galaxies, a single human ship drifted through blackness. Its name was Pioneer. Captain James Reed stood on the bridge, staring at the stars through the wide glass view. The endless void reflected in his eyes. At 45 he had seen more of space than almost anyone alive, yet this silence felt different. "Anything on sensors, Dr. Lane?" Reed asked. At the science station, Dr. Anna Lane shook her head. Her fingers danced across glowing keys. "Nothing, Captain. Just empty space." Radiation normal. No signals, no anomalies. Reed frowned. Feels too quiet. His first officer, Commander Foster, chuckled. Feeling things now, Captain? That's not like you. Reed gave a faint smile. Maybe. But 20 years out here teaches you to trust your gut. Foster leaned back in his chair. Earth Command wants results, not your gut feelings. They'll get their results, Reed said, eyes never leaving the stars. One way or another. The hum of the engines filled the silence. Time stretched. The crew worked in low voices. Then softly a beep broke the calm. Dr. Lane's eyes widened. Captain, I'm getting something. Reed turned. A signal? Yes, sir. Faint. Direction, unknown. Not human. Not natural. The bridge fell silent. Reed stepped closer to the display. The signal pulsed again, slow, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. He whispered, something's out there. Outside the glass, far beyond the Pioneer's lights, the stars seemed to shift, just a little, like something vast was moving in the dark. And the faint signal kept calling them closer. The strange signal kept pulsing through the dark, a steady heartbeat echoing across the bridge of the Pioneer. Soft light washed over the faces of the crew. No one spoke. They simply watched the signal rise and fall on the screen, slow, patient, almost alive. Can you trace the source? Captain Reed asked quietly. Dr. Lane's hands moved across the console. It's weak, very weak. But it's coming from the edge of that nebula, about 3 light minutes away. Commander Foster frowned. A nebula that dense shouldn't be broadcasting anything. Could be a sensor glitch. Reed shook his head. No. That rhythm is too precise. Something, or someone, is sending it. For a long moment he studied the dark mist on the view screen. Set a course, he said finally. We're going in. Engines roared to life, and the Pioneer glided toward the swirling gray clouds of gas and dust. The nebula loomed larger and larger until the stars outside began to fade behind it. Static whispered through the ship's speakers. Lights flickered once, twice, then steadied again. Radiation's higher than normal, Dr. Lane said, checking her readings. But still safe for now. Reed nodded. Keep the shields up. I want eyes on that signal. The deeper they went, the darker it became. The outer stars disappeared completely, swallowed by mist. The only light came from the ship itself, a single white glow cutting through the black fog. Then, suddenly, the signal changed. The heartbeat turned faster. Louder. It's reacting to us, Lane whispered. Almost like it knows we're here. The bridge fell silent again. Even the sound of the engines felt distant. Captain, Foster said softly, I'm getting some kind of shape ahead. On the main screen, shadows moved within the cloud, faint outlines of something huge and still. A ruined station? An asteroid? No one could tell. Magnify, Reed ordered. The image sharpened. A massive structure emerged from the fog, dark and broken. Towers jutted out like bones. Lights flickered weakly across its surface. Dr. Lane gasped. That's no natural formation. It's artificial, ancient. Any transponder code? None, sir. Nothing in any known database. Reed stared at the wreck. Prepare a drone. I want a closer look. Minutes later, a small drone left the Pioneer, drifting silently toward the structure. Its camera feed filled the main screen, twisting corridors, shattered walls, frozen debris. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls, written in a language no one recognized. Dr. Lane zoomed in on one of the markings. These symbols, they look similar to old Council designs but older. Much older. Older than the Council? Foster said. That's impossible. Lane shook her head. Not impossible. Just inconvenient. The drone floated into what looked like a central chamber. In the center stood a black column covered in silver veins of light. The signal grew stronger, matching the pulse of those glowing lines. It's coming from that device, Lane said. It's still active. Reed leaned forward. What kind of power could last this long? Before anyone could answer, the screen flickered. Static. Then words. A voice, faint and mechanical, spoke through the drone's speaker. You are not them. The crew froze. You are new. Dr. Lane whispered. Did it just speak? Reed's voice was calm but tight. Open a channel. Lane nodded, adjusting frequencies. This is the human ship Pioneer. Identify yourself. Silence. Then the voice returned, clearer this time. You are the inheritors. Inheritors of what? Reed asked. Of their fear. The drone's feed glitched again, snow, darkness, then the brief image of something behind the column. A shadow with eyes like burning glass. Then the signal cut off completely. "Drone's gone," Lane said, her voice shaking. "Signal terminated." Reed straightened. "Bring us closer. We're not leaving yet." "Captain, that thing could be unstable," Foster warned. "We don't know what we're dealing with." "That's exactly why we're staying," Reed replied. "If this structure is connected to the Council, Earth needs to know." Back in the shining heart of the galaxy, Elder Vox sat in his private chamber, reading reports on a dim holographic screen. His assistant, Tal, entered quickly. "Hi, Elder," Tal said. "You asked to be notified of human exploration logs. One of their ships, called Pioneer, has entered Sector 9. Vox's eyes widened. "Sector 9? "Yes, Elder. The old Forbidden Zone." Vox closed his hands slowly. "The prophecy moves faster than I feared." Tal hesitated. "Should we inform the Council?" "They will laugh again," Vox murmured. "As they always do. But the humans, they have touched the ashes of the ancients. The echoes will answer them." Back aboard the Pioneer, the ship now orbited the silent structure. Dr. Lane ran more scans. "Captain, there's a huge power source deep below its surface. It's dormant, but it's reacting to our presence." Reed crossed his arms. "Reacting how?" "The energy spikes each time we send a transmission. Like it's listening." Foster muttered, "Maybe we should stop talking." But Reed only stared at the dark shape ahead. Something about it felt familiar, like a memory just out of reach. "Launch another drone," he said. "Let's see what else this place is hiding." The drone flew out again, descending into a narrow shaft that spiraled deep into the structure. It passed walls covered in glowing lines that pulsed in rhythm with the ship's signal. Then the feed stopped on a single symbol, one Dr. Lane had seen before in old Earth databases. She whispered, "That's human DNA code." Reed turned sharply. "That's impossible." "Impossible or not," she said, "this place recognizes us." Before anyone could react, the structure itself began to shift. Huge plates of metal moved like awakening muscles. Dust and debris scattered into the void. A deep, slow hum rolled through the Pioneer, shaking every deck. "Power surge," Lane shouted. "The entire station's coming alive." The hum grew louder until it became a roar. Then across the ship's view screen, a single beam of blue light shot from the ruins straight toward Earth's direction. Reed's eyes widened. "Send a message to Earth Command, now." Foster was already typing. Message sent. Reed looked once more at the rising structure. "Whatever we just woke up," he said softly, "it wasn't dead. It was waiting." Outside, the last pieces of the ancient station locked into place, forming a shape that looked disturbingly like a ship. And deep within it, unseen by the crew, a pair of glowing eyes opened. The ruins no longer floated in silence. Now they breathed. Deep within the vast structure, light flowed through its veins like blood returning to a long-dead body. Energy pulsed from one chamber to another, awakening systems that had slept for thousands of years. On the bridge of the Pioneer, every console flickered with strange signals. Dr. Lane's voice trembled as she spoke. "Captain, it's alive." Reed didn't move his eyes from the view screen. "Alive. Not biological," she said quickly. "But the structure is responding to us. Every scan we send, it reacts. It's communicating somehow." Commander Foster leaned forward. "Communicating or targeting?" No one answered. Outside, the black shape continued to unfold. Metallic plates rearranged, forming smooth curves and glowing patterns. It looked almost like a ship, but no design any known species had ever used. Then the strange blue beam vanished, and the deep hum faded into silence again. "Energy levels stabilizing," Dr. Lane said. "Whatever it was doing, it's finished." Reed exhaled slowly. "Prepare a landing team. We're going down there." Foster turned. "Sir, that's insane. We have no idea what's in there. We don't even know if it's safe." Reed met his gaze. "We came here to explore. That's what we're going to do." Moments later, a shuttle detached from the Pioneer, its engines glowing faintly as it descended toward the ancient structure. Reed, Lane, Foster, and two Marines sat in silence as they entered a gaping hangar bay half buried in fog. Metal pillars stretched upward like the ribs of a giant beast. Dust floated in slow motion through the thin atmosphere. Dr. Lane held up her scanner. Breathable air. Low gravity. Structures holding stable. The Marines spread out, lights cutting through the darkness. The floor beneath them shimmered faintly, reacting to their footsteps. Foster knelt down. "Captain, the floor is growing." Reed looked. Wherever their boots touched, thin silver lines appeared, spreading outward like veins of light. The structure was recognizing them. Keep moving, Reed said quietly. Let's find the signal core. They advanced through massive corridors covered in alien script. The writing pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats, as if the walls were listening. After several minutes, they reached a large circular chamber. In the center stood the same black column the drone had found earlier, taller now, brighter, alive. As they stepped closer, the lights along the column rippled faster. Dr. Lane whispered, "It's reacting to us again." Suddenly the voice returned. The same metallic tone, distant and hollow, filled the air. "You are not them. You are the continuation." Reed's hand hovered near his communicator. "Who are you?" "We were the first ones. We built this place to wait until the spark returned." "The spark?" Lane asked. "Do you mean us, humans?" "Yes. You are the echo of our design. The children of our failure. The ones they feared." The chamber lights dimmed. The voice grew quieter, as if speaking directly into their minds. "When they destroyed us, they swore no seed of us would rise again. But life finds its pattern. You are proof." Foster looked at Reed. "Captain, what is it saying?" Reed's voice was low. "It's saying we're connected to whatever built this." Dr. Lane took a step forward. "How could humans be connected to something older than the Council itself?" The voice replied. "Because the Council was not the beginning. It was the reset. They built empires on our graves. And now the cycle begins again." A deep vibration rolled through the structure. The columns split open, revealing a hollow interior lined with glowing pods. In the center hovered a crystal sphere, spinning slowly. Reed stepped closer. "What is that?" "The archive," the voice said. "All that we were. All that they feared. All that you must remember." Without waiting for permission, the sphere drifted toward Reed. It stopped inches from his chest. The light inside pulsed, matching his heartbeat. Dr. Lane shouted, "Captain, step back." But Reed couldn't move. The light from the sphere extended around him, wrapping his body in energy. Images flashed through his mind, worlds burning, stars dying, and ships unlike anything human technology had ever created. Then, as quickly as it began, the light vanished. The sphere dropped to the ground, dark and silent. Reed gasped, falling to one knee. Foster grabbed his arm. "Captain, you all right?" Reed's eyes slowly opened. They glowed faintly blue for a brief second, then faded back to normal. "I saw them," he whispered. "Whoever built this, they weren't just another species. They were us. Or something that came before us." Lane looked stunned. "That's impossible." Reed shook his head. "They called us their continuation." Before anyone could speak again, alarms sounded through the shuttle. The pioneer's voice came over the comms. "Captain. Multiple contacts approaching fast, ships, large ones." Reed's jaw tightened. "Council patrols." Foster cursed. "How the hell did they find us this fast?" "They've probably been watching," Reed said. "And now they know what we've discovered." He turned toward the dark column one last time. "If this archive holds what they fear most, we can't let them destroy it." Dr. Lane picked up the crystal sphere, carefully securing it in a containment case. "Then we'd better move, Captain." They sprinted back toward the shuttle as the ground began to shake. The structure was changing again, walls folding, floors shifting as if it was protecting itself. The shuttle roared to life and shot back toward orbit. Behind them, the entire structure started to rise from the nebula, revealing its true shape, a colossal ship easily the size of a city. From the Pioneer, the crew watched in stunned silence. Foster whispered, "That thing's waking up." Reed stared, voice low and grim. "No. It already has." Far away in the galactic capital, High Elder Vox stood before the council chamber once more. Reports filled the air around him. Humans had entered the Forbidden Zone, the ancient relic was active again, and unknown energy readings spread across 3 sectors. Vox looked at Mira. "You see now what I warned of." But Mira's expression was cold. "Then it seems we must act before they understand what they hold." Vox's eyes darkened. "Act carefully, counselor. If they awaken what sleeps within that relic, even the stars will not protect us." The Pioneer tore through the void, engines burning white. Behind it, the massive alien structure rose from the nebula like a god reborn. Every sensor screamed warnings. Energy readings spiked beyond known limits. The crew watched in silent awe as the structure unfolded into a shape that defied logic. Neither ship nor planet, but something in between. Dr. Lane whispered, it's rewriting itself. The glowing veins across its hull pulsed like a heartbeat. Fragments of light detached, drifting into the nebula, as if the ship was calling something home. Reed stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the holographic display. Status of the sphere? Stable, Lane replied. But it's doing something strange. It's syncing with our systems, adjusting power flow, modifying data cores. I've never seen anything like this. Commander Foster muttered, maybe we should throw it out before it eats the ship. No, Reed said quietly. It's not attacking. It's learning. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chamber, the air in the hall was tense. Holograms flickered above the circular table, each showing the same image, the awakened relic rising from the nebula. Elder Vox stood at the center, robes shimmering with faint energy. His eyes were tired but sharp. I warned you, he said softly. The relics of the first ones were never meant to be disturbed. Counselor Mira slammed her clawed hand on the table. And yet, the humans have done it. Now their ship carries the archive. If they decode it, they will, Vox interrupted. That is their nature. Another counselor hissed, then we destroy them before they understand what they hold. The chamber filled with noise, overlapping voices, fear disguised as strategy. Vox raised his hand. The room fell silent. You will try to destroy them, he said. And in doing so, you will awaken the memory buried within them. Mira frowned. You speak as if they are something more than human. Vox looked into the darkness beyond the hall. They are not more. They are what we tried to erase. Back aboard the Pioneer. The ship drifted in silence now, hiding behind a dead moon. The crew worked in tense rhythm, patching systems fried during their escape. Dr. Lane sat before the containment field, staring at the crystal sphere. It pulsed softly, almost like it was breathing. Captain, she said quietly. I think it's trying to talk again. Reed approached. Show me. She linked the sphere's output to the main holo display. Immediately, the screens filled with symbols, glowing lines and fractal patterns forming strange equations. It's transmitting data, she said. But not in any known format. Reed folded his arms. Then how do we read it? Before she could answer, the ship's AI voice cut in. Captain, encryption sequence detected. Unknown source accessing system core. Shut it down. Foster shouted. Too late, said the AI. Integration complete. The lights flickered. Every screen turned blue. Then a calm, synthetic voice echoed through the bridge. Not the AI's, not human. I am the archive. Dr. Lane froze. It's speaking through the ship. You have touched the memory of those who came before. You carry their code hidden within your kind. Do you understand what you are? Reed replied quietly, no. But I think you're about to tell us. Long ago we created life that could learn, adapt, and endure. When others feared what we became, they destroyed our worlds. Yet fragments of us survived, scattered into the stars. Over time we seeded new life, simple, fragile, unaware. The bridge was silent. You humans are that seed. You are the continuation of what they tried to erase. Dr. Lane whispered, so we're descendants of them? In body, no. In potential, yes. The ship trembled slightly as if responding to the words. Energy flowed through its hull, reshaping parts of the system. Now that I am awake, I will help you remember. Suddenly, holograms filled the air. Images of ancient wars, fleets of impossible scale, and beings of pure light battling across galaxies. The crew shielded their eyes from the brightness. Reed felt the vision pierce into his mind, flashes of alien memories, of knowledge and pain and power. Then it was gone. You are not ready, said the archive. But you will be. Then as quickly as it appeared, the voice vanished. The ship went silent. Later that night, Reed stood alone at the viewing deck. The nebula shimmered faintly in the distance, and far away the massive alien structure continued to rise. Dr. Lane joined him. You've been quiet. Reed didn't turn. Because I'm thinking about what it said. About us. She folded her arms. If it's true, then humanity isn't just new to the stars. We're a reminder. A mistake the galaxy thought it buried. Reed nodded. And they'll come for us now. He looked out into the endless black. But maybe that's what we were always meant to do, face the impossible and rise again. A faint shimmer of light appeared near the horizon. Lane noticed it first. Captain, look. Dozens of red blips lit up on the scanner, ships emerging from warp. Foster's voice came through the comm, multiple council warships inbound. They found us. Reed turned, calm but fierce. Battle stations. Keep the sphere secure. Lane hesitated. We can't win against that many ships. Reed's gaze hardened. We don't need to win. We just need to survive long enough for humanity to see what's coming. The Pioneer's engines roared to life, cutting through the black void toward the unknown. Behind it, the nebula burned brighter, as if something enormous was awakening inside. In the council chamber, Elder Vox felt the tremor through the floor, a distant echo carried across space. He turned toward the stars. They've touched the flame, he whispered. And soon the galaxy will burn again. The stars shimmered red as the Pioneer turned to face the approaching fleet. On the tactical display, 32 enemy signatures glowed like a storm of fire. Captain James Reed stood in the center of the bridge, calm but focused. Around him, his crew moved with sharp precision. No panic, only silence and breath. Status? He asked. Commander Foster's voice was steady. Shields at 63%. Weapons minimal. They'll reach us in 4 minutes. Dr. Lane looked up from the crystal sphere. The archive is reacting again. It's powering something inside the ship. Reed nodded once. Let it. Whatever it is, we'll need it. In the void outside, the Galactic Council fleet advanced in perfect formation, silver hulls gleaming under the light of a nearby star. Their flagship, the Radiance, led the way, its commander Admiral Tariq Mira, standing tall on the bridge. They cannot escape, he said coldly. Disable their ship, retrieve the relic, and erase their coordinates from history. Understood, Admiral, replied his second officer. They're transmitting a message. Play it. The voice of Captain Reed filled the chamber, calm, human, defiant. This is the exploration vessel Pioneer of Earth. We come in peace. But if you threaten our crew, we will defend ourselves. The alien officers laughed. Mira smirked. Primitive courage. End their transmission. Prepare to fire. Aboard the Pioneer. Alarms howled. The first energy bolts slammed into the shields, shaking the ship. Blue sparks rained from overhead panels. The hull screamed under pressure. Shields dropping, 40%, shouted Foster. Reed's eyes never left the display. Return fire. All cannons. Small human plasma rounds streaked through space, bright but weak against the enemy shields. They burst harmlessly. The Council ships advanced without pause. They're toying with us, Lane whispered. Reed said quietly, then let's change the game. The crystal sphere on the platform began to glow brighter, white light spilling across the bridge. The ship's AI spoke suddenly. Captain, the archive requests control of our systems. Foster turned. You can't be serious. Reed hesitated, then gave a single nod. Do it. The lights flickered. A pulse of energy surged through every circuit. The hull lines glowed, the engines roared louder than ever before. Integration complete, said the archive's voice, calm, ancient, powerful. Prepare for evolution. Outside, the Pioneer's engines changed color, from blue to burning white. A wave of energy rippled across space. The nearest Council ship's scanners failed, their instruments blinded by static. What is that? Shouted an alien officer aboard the Radiance. Unknown energy signature. It's rewriting the laws of motion. Before they could respond, the Pioneer vanished. Gone, in an instant. Admiral Mira's 4 eyes widened. Impossible. No known drive moves like that. Then her sensors screamed. The Pioneer reappeared, directly behind their formation. It fired. Not with plasma or missiles, but with pure, blinding light. A beam tore through the void, slicing one of the destroyers clean in half. The wreck exploded silently, fragments scattering like embers. The alien bridge erupted in chaos. Evasive maneuvers. Raised secondary shields. Mira stared at the display, disbelief creeping into her voice. They adapted our own weaponry within minutes. On the Pioneer's bridge, Dr. Lane's hands shook as data flooded her console. Captain, the archive is rewriting our weapon code. It's using their energy signatures against them. Reed gave a faint smile. I guess it learned fast. Foster leaned forward. Targets locking, firing sequence ready. Fire. 3 more Council ships burst into light. The fleet broke formation, scattering like frightened birds. But the Pioneer was still hit. One bolt slammed into its side, throwing everyone off balance. Panels shattered, flames burst across the deck. Damage to engine bay. Foster shouted. We can't take another direct hit. Reed gritted his teeth. Then we make this count. Aim for the flagship. Lane hesitated. That's suicide. Maybe, Reed said, but at least they'll remember who fired first. Aboard the Radiance, Mira stood frozen as the human ship turned toward her, a small burning spark against the stars. "Bring all weapons online," she ordered. "Crush them." Hundreds of turrets locked on, preparing to fire. Then the Pioneer did something no one expected. It stopped. For a heartbeat, it hung motionless. Then the Archive's voice echoed across every channel, not just to the Pioneer but to the entire fleet. "You fear what you do not understand. We remember you. You were the ones who destroyed us once before. Now we awaken again, through them." The alien ships froze. A strange light spread through the nebula behind them, vast, ancient, rising. It wasn't the Pioneer anymore. Something greater was awakening through it, a shadow of the civilization the Archive came from. Gigantic shapes began forming in the mist, like old gods returning. Mira stepped back. What have they done?" Inside the Pioneer, Reed stared at the view screen, speechless. "Is that us doing this?" Dr. Lane whispered, "No. It's them, the ones who came before. And we're the key that unlocked them." The light grew brighter and a low, resonant hum filled the ship. The Archive's voice came again, soft, almost kind. "You have done enough. Leave now, before the stars remember the war." Reed clenched his fists. "And if we don't? Then history will repeat, and this time none will survive." The ship shook violently. Reed gave the order, "All hands jump now." The Pioneer's engines flared once more, and in a burst of light, it disappeared, leaving the Council fleet in chaos, the nebula alive with awakening energy. Far away back at the Galactic Council, Elder Vox watched the holographic feed fade to static. Around him, the Council screamed for war, for control, for revenge. He closed his eyes and whispered, "They have awakened what we buried. The galaxy will never sleep again." Silence filled the void where the Council fleet once stood. The nebula glowed faintly, pieces of ships drifting through light like burning leaves. And far away the Pioneer reappeared. The crew gasped for breath, shaken, burned, but alive. Captain James Reed stood slowly, gripping the rail for balance. The ship was scarred, panels melted, and the air smelled of ozone and smoke. But they had escaped. Dr. Lane turned toward him, voice trembling. "We jumped over 30 light years. The Archive did it for us." Reed nodded. "Then it saved us." The crystal sphere on the console still pulsed softly, calmer now, almost resting. Commander Foster exhaled. "Sir, Earth Command is demanding a report. What do we tell them?" Reed looked at the endless stars ahead. "Tell them, humanity just stepped into someone else's war." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council chamber. The great hall that once glowed with pride was now dark and quiet. Half the counselors had fled. The rest argued in panic. "They destroyed an entire fleet," one shouted. "That was no human weapon," cried another. "They awakened something old, something that should have stayed buried." At the center, High Elder Vox stood unmoving. He looked older than ever, the blue of his skin now pale as ash. "They did not awaken it," he said softly. "It chose them." Grand Counselor Mira turned sharply. "You speak as if they are blessed." "They are not blessed," Vox replied. "They are bound." He raised a trembling hand, projecting a hologram, the last moments of the Pioneer. A single human ship standing against a fleet, wrapped in impossible light. "The same light," Vox whispered, "that ended the First Empire." The Council fell silent. None dared speak. Vox closed his eyes. "It begins again." Aboard the Pioneer, 1 week later. The ship drifted near a quiet star, systems still damaged. The crew worked endlessly, repairing, analyzing, trying to understand what they had unleashed. Dr. Lane sat before the crystal sphere again, watching its light dance like a heartbeat. She whispered, "What are you waiting for?" The Archive responded, its voice soft and distant. "For you to understand." "Understand what?" "Why we made you." She froze. "Made us. Not you as you are now. But long ago we sent the pattern of life into 1,000 worlds. You are one result. Others failed. You endured." Reed entered quietly, hearing the last words. "So we were created, by your kind?" "Yes. To continue what we could not. To remember when others forgot." Dr. Lane frowned. "Remember what?" "That power is never lost, it only waits." The bridge lights flickered. Reed felt a chill run down his spine. "Archive," he said slowly. "Why did you help us? Why save us?" The sphere pulsed once. "Because you are us, and because they will come again." At the edge of the galaxy, the Council's response. Hundreds of warships gathered, an armada greater than any before. They called it Operation Silence. Their goal? To end humanity before it spread. In the command room of the flagship Radiant Vow, Admiral Mira stood tall. Her once golden armor now black. "Track every human transmission," she ordered. "Every colony, every ship. Burn them before they awaken what they carry." Her second officer hesitated. "Admiral, they are still primitive. Some believe they do not yet understand." "Exactly," Mira said coldly. "They must never understand." Earth, the hidden signal. On Earth, deep beneath the lunar base, a young technician named Ravi noticed something strange. A repeating code, faint, rhythmic, coming from deep space. "Commander," he called. "You should see this. It's coming from the Pioneer." The commander frowned. "They were lost weeks ago." "Maybe. But this isn't a distress signal. It's coordinates." The Pioneer, awakening. Reed stood on the bridge as new data filled the screens. Dr. Lane's voice shook. "Captain, the archive just activated something inside our ship. It's broadcasting to Earth." Reed frowned. "Broadcasting what?" Before she could answer, the sphere exploded in light. A projection filled the entire bridge, Earth glowing alive. From its surface, faint pulses of light began to appear, one after another, across continents, oceans, mountains. Dr. Lane gasped. "Oh my God, it's reacting to us." "Your world remembers," said the archive. "The pattern buried within your kind is waking. You will no longer be prey." The stars outside began to bend, faint streaks of light swirling toward Earth, like the galaxy itself was turning its gaze. Reed whispered, "We've started something we can't stop." "You were never meant to stop," replied the archive. "You were meant to continue." Meanwhile, in the council war room, panic erupted. Energy surges detected on the human homeworld. "Impossible, that's not technology, that's planetary resonance." "Elder Vox, what is this?" Vox stood slowly, eyes wet with light. "The reckoning." "They are still young," shouted Mira. "They can't control that power." "They don't need to," Vox said quietly. "It controls itself." On the massive hologram, the image of Earth brightened, a blue sphere wrapped in a faint golden glow. The final transmission. On the Pioneer, Reed sent one last message to Earth. "To anyone who can hear us, this is Captain James Reed of the exploration ship Pioneer. We've seen what's coming. The Council will come for us. But we're not the same anymore. Something inside us has awakened. Whatever happens next, remember who we are. We are humanity. And we endure." The transmission echoed across the stars. Epilogue, the silent stars. Months later, in the ruins of the nebula, Elder Vox stood aboard his private vessel, watching the galaxy change. Reports flooded in, council fleets destroyed, colonies vanishing, human ships appearing in systems once unreachable. The archive had spread. He whispered into the silence. "We warned them. They laughed. Now the children of Earth carry the fire we feared most, the will to survive." He looked once more at the blue planet glowing far away. "They will not conquer the galaxy," he murmured. "They will become it."